Alright, so way back in October, I bought these 3 vintage cases for $25, and I built my first sleeper PC and sold it, I believe, the day after Christmas, or 2 days after Christmas. It took me until about March to put together this second sleeper build. I broke even on that first build. Could I break even on the second one? Yeah, so I just kept the case and took the other parts to the e-waste center. Back in January or February, I also found this Facebook Marketplace listing. It is a bundle with a case, including fans, RGB lighting, a motherboard, and a power supply. He was listing it for $80, and I talked him down to $75. Now the motherboard is nothing special, but it's a start. It's an MSI A320M-A Pro micro ATX motherboard. Also, there was a 550 watt MSI power supply, actually branded as Delta. And the case, which I'm going to use in a future build, is an MSI Mag Forge 100R ATX. Alright, let's get the sleeper build number 2 done. As you see here from the front, here's the inside. It's a micro ATX. One thing I've noticed about all of these computers I bought, they weirdly are all missing exactly 1 foot. So I'm guessing I'll remove these and give the same bottoms I had on the last build. I'll scrape them off. These are not screwed in. And with the new bottom, you can see it'd be a little bit more height off the ground, which will be good because the only airflow I have in the front is just a little cutout right here. So if I can get it another ½ inch off the ground, maybe I can get a little bit more airflow. Not too much effort, it was just kind of glued on. There's another shot comparing the height. So I'm going to drill holes here, 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 and there. Alright, so now I have the holes drilled, but as you can see, I'm going to need to sand or grind them down a little bit. I don't know if you can see on this end. I'll get out my little Dremel and see if I can smooth that a little bit. Alright, we're all good. I've got the feet put on there. 4 feet. Let's flip it over and see how it looks. Looks good. Alright, we are going to do an exhaust fan in the back and an intake right behind this grill, 92 millimeters. These are 92 millimeter fractal design Silent Series R3 in white. And you can see right here, it tells you where the airflow is. So this toward the front and this on the back, it'll look like this. Alright, and there we go. Got both fans in. Unlike the last build, I'm not going to put a fan at the bottom, a fan at the top. This is a much smaller piece, and we just don't have the room. I'll just put in that power supply I got off of Facebook Marketplace in the bundle with the motherboard. It's in here. And this case, maybe I'll use that for a build coming up. But here is the power supply. Delta. As you can see, this power supply is not modular at all and is fun as the cable management was on the first build. This one could be a little bit hairier. Anyway, here is the DVD-R drive I got. It is a Pioneer DVD-RW, dated from 2003, and the color is not quite matching. I'll show you here, but I really don't want to take the bezel off and spray paint it. While it looked okay on the last build, I wasn't that excited about it, and I've decided to go ahead and put in a floppy drive. So let's put the front back on this computer and see how it looks with the optical and floppy drives installed. And installing the front of this case is not going to be fun. There's some hard to reach holes, particularly here and here. So I might be swearing. I'll do that off camera. What I'm going to have to do is put these pieces in these holes. Right there is a really hard one to get to, even after I take off the back panel. But the one up top is even harder to get to, and I put these screws in there. We have the front panel on. There were no F-bombs, but I did say the poop emoji word. Here's the back of this optical drive, and I have a jumper right here. I don't think it really should matter, but I think I need to put it in the master position all the way here to the right. I also have an adapter because this is an IDE drive, and I'm going to have a SATA motherboard. So in theory, I plug this in the rear, and here we have the SATA, and it's going to get its power from SATA, but it's going to have to go through this Molex plugged in the rear here. I'm sorry, in the rear here, and it'll flip around and plug right there. We'll see how that works here in just a second. And there we go. Just make sure when you plug in the yellow Molex cable, it goes in the position marked 12 volt, and the red goes into 5 volt, and it flips around and goes into there. And you need to push it on tight. And there we go. The front bezel is on. You can see though that this bezel is a slightly darker beige than the rest. It'll just have to do. Whenever I post it on the advertisement, there'll clearly be pictures marked. I've cleaned this up a lot better than what it was. There's a little ways to go, and you can see right here we have a little chip here. Because I am doing this floppy drive, I changed my mind literally in the last hour. I'm going to need an adapter to attach this to a more modern motherboard. I think it ran like $15. So I saw this 1050 Ti 4 gig graphics card Facebook Marketplace, and I'd buy it but I would end up putting this in the Optiplex that I have at my mother-in-law's house. It's a great solution for that computer because it does not require any additional power. I would end up buying a GTX 1080 Founders Edition from a coworker for $100, which isn't a great deal, but it is certainly a fair price. Okay, here's the cable management situation. Like I said, this is not pretty. This is an old case. Cable management wasn't a premium back then. Man, that is a rat's nest. I'll show you the other side here in a second, and you'll see that I at least tried. That's the back of the floppy. I'm not gonna try to connect it. It's just gonna be there for looks this time. This lights up, but it's irrelevant since you can't see the lights from the outside. Back, and I pulled what I could over here. We have this lip right here, so I don't want to pull anything down. That'll make it impossible to put the case panel on. Here we have the rear of the computer. And since I get my badges from geekandspill.com, I'll go ahead and throw in a free advertisement on the back of this computer for them. Maybe whoever buys this computer will check it out and buy badges for whatever they want on their own computer. And here's the front of the computer. Speaking of those badges, we've got Pentium 4 Intel inside and designed for Windows 98. Of course, there's a Ryzen 7 on the inside of this and not Intel, but we went with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, Building Better Worlds as the badge. I'm sure Alien fans will appreciate that. Let's plug it in. Let's power this up. Again, I don't have the floppy drive plugged in, so it's not going to be making those crunch noises and it's not going to be lighting up. I am including a floppy disk, big spender. And here we've got, I do have a PS2 mouse. Unfortunately, this is a regular USB keyboard, but it is definitely old. Maybe they'll appreciate that. There we go. Let's log in. Oh, I'm a moron. I tried to log in with that keyboard. Let's try it again. There we go. Wayland Corp. Building better worlds. There we go. The Ryzen 7 2700X. 16 gig of RAM. At 3333. These are officially rated at 3600. I couldn't get it to stabilize at 3600, so I loaded the 3333 profile. And GTX 1080. So I initially listed this as $600, and every week I took off $50 until one week I listed it as $390 and the final price drop. And just like the last ad saying final price got people to be interested in my ad, and I sold it for $390. The listing says, "Don't let this case fool you. Inside we got an MSI A320M-A Pro Micro ATX motherboard with a Ryzen 7 2700X CPU paired with a GTX 1080 8GB Founders Edition GPU. Windows 10 is installed and activated, and free Windows 11 upgrade is available. Booting from a Western Digital Blue 500GB 2.5-inch SSD. Also installed is a 2TB Barracuda 7200 RPM HDD. 550 watt power supply. There is a PlexWriter CDR drive installed as well. I tested an audio CD on it and it played fine. Have not tested burning or video games off of it. The floppy drive is not connected or powered. I tested it and it does power on. Unsure if it works. There is no built-in Wi-Fi on the motherboard, but I will include a USB Wi-Fi adapter. There is also a matching old beige keyboard and PS2 mouse. Those work and are nice to have, but honestly would not recommend trying to game with the mouse. The RAM is G.Skill Sniper X and is advertised as DDR4 3600, but I could not get it stable at that speed. I loaded the profile that runs at 3333 and it is good. Latest BIOS has been loaded. This is a sleeper PC. The case is a classic beautiful late 90s early 2000 beige with a snazzy transparent blue trim.